Do you ever feel like life is constantly testing you, throwing one obstacle after another in your path? Have you ever wondered how some people manage to remain calm and focused, no matter how chaotic things get? And what if I told you that the key to becoming truly unstoppable lies not in external success, but in mastering yourself? In this world full of distractions, stress, and uncertainty, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and stuck. I've been there. But what if I told you that there's a way to navigate all of life's challenges with a sense of inner peace, strength, and unshakable focus? That's where Stoicism comes in. Stoic philosophy, practiced by the likes of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, offers timeless wisdom that can help you stay resilient, focused, and grounded no matter what life throws your way. It's not about being invincible, it's about being unbreakable in your mindset, discipline, and ability to handle adversity. In this guide, I'm going to share 11 powerful Stoic lessons that have transformed my approach to success. These are not abstract ideas, they are practical strategies you can apply today to become unstoppable in your pursuit of excellence, ready to take control of your life and turn challenges into opportunities. Let's dive in. Lesson 1. You are a work in progress. Focus on growth, not perfection. One of the most liberating lessons I've ever learned through Stoicism is the understanding that we are all works in progress. Too often, we feel pressured to achieve perfection in everything we do, whether it's in our careers, relationships, or personal development. I used to think that if I couldn't be perfect, then I was failing. But Stoic philosophy teaches us that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. We live in a world where mistakes are often seen as weaknesses, but the truth is, they are the foundation of growth. When you focus on progress rather than perfection, you free yourself from the fear of failure. You learn to view every setback as a stepping stone towards improvement, not as a reflection of your worth. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." This idea reminds me that every mistake is an opportunity to start again, wiser and more prepared than before. When you adopt the mindset that you are constantly evolving, you realize that it's okay to fail. Failure is simply part of the journey towards success. The key is to see yourself as a work in progress. Instead of obsessing over perfection, celebrate the small victories along the way. Did you learn something new today? Did you handle a difficult situation better than you would have a year ago? These are the signs of growth. Don't let the pursuit of perfection rob you of the satisfaction that comes from getting better, little by little, each day. In my own life, I've found that this mindset shift has relieved so much pressure. Instead of fearing mistakes, I welcome them as opportunities to learn. Each mistake brings me closer to the best version of myself. It's a reminder that I don't need to be perfect. I just need to keep moving forward, learning and growing with each experience. Lesson 2. The power of experience. Build confidence through action. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build over time through experience. Before I began practicing Stoicism, I thought confident people were just naturally fearless, like they had something I didn't. But Stoic philosophy helped me realize that confidence is the product of action, not just a personality trait. The more you do, the more you grow. It's simple, yet incredibly powerful. Every time you try something new, whether you succeed or fail, you gain valuable experience. And that experience is what builds real, lasting confidence. You begin to understand that the world isn't as intimidating as it seems when viewed from the sidelines. Taking action, regardless of the outcome, is what teaches you that you're capable of handling challenges. The Stoics believed that we shouldn't fear what we don't know or understand. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that many of our fears are just projections of our mind. We often overestimate the difficulty of new challenges, but once we face them, they're rarely as bad as we imagined. When I started applying this to my life, I made a conscious effort to say yes to more opportunities. I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, whether it was taking on new projects at work, learning new skills, or meeting new people. Each time, I discovered that my fear of the unknown was unfounded. Confidence is like a muscle. It grows stronger the more you use it. Each new experience builds on the last, creating a solid foundation of self-assurance. So, how do you build unstoppable confidence? By taking action. Don't wait until you feel ready, just go for it. The more you do, the more you'll realize that you're capable of much more than you give yourself credit for. Lesson 3. Embrace change. Stop clinging to comfort. One of the hardest lessons for me to accept was that comfort can be a trap. We all crave stability and certainty in our lives, but too much comfort can hold us back from becoming the person we're truly capable of being. Stoicism teaches us that change is a constant in life, and the sooner we embrace it, the more we grow. For years, I stayed in situations that made me unhappy because they were familiar. I stayed in jobs that drained me and relationships that weren't fulfilling, simply because the idea of change scared me. But as the Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. I realized that clinging to comfort wasn't just keeping me stagnant, it was actively holding me back from the growth and fulfillment I wanted in life. The Stoics believed that change is not something to fear, but something to embrace. Life is always in flux, and the more you resist change, the more you suffer. When I finally started to lean into this lesson, I began to make decisions that were in line with the person I wanted to become, rather than the person I had been. I learned that when you let go of comfort, you make room for new opportunities. You start taking risks that scare you, but also excite you. You find new paths that lead to growth, both personally and professionally. Yes, change is uncomfortable, but that discomfort is where the real growth happens. Stoicism teaches us that the only way to become unstoppable is to stop resisting the changes that life throws our way, and to start using them as stepping stones toward our best selves. Let go of what no longer serves you, and trust that change will bring you closer to where you're meant to be. Lesson 4. Practice brutal honesty. Face your weaknesses to grow. One of the most difficult but essential Stoic practices is learning to be brutally honest with yourself. For a long time, I would make excuses for my shortcomings. If something didn't work out, I would find a way to blame external factors. The situation wasn't right, someone else was at fault, or I just had bad luck. But Stoicism teaches us that true growth comes when we face our own weaknesses head-on, without excuses or justifications. Seneca once said, "You must live for others if you wish to live for yourself." What this means in the context of brutal honesty is that when we confront our weaknesses, we not only grow as individuals, but also improve our relationships and how we impact the world around us. To become the best version of yourself, you have to be willing to admit where you fall short, and more importantly, take action to improve. For me, this process began by acknowledging areas of my life where I wasn't living up to my potential. Whether it was avoiding difficult conversations, procrastinating on important tasks, or letting negative habits linger, I had to face the fact that I was holding myself back. The moment I stopped blaming external factors and looked inward, everything began to change. Brutal honesty means being willing to look at your mistakes and failures not as something to be ashamed of, but as opportunities for growth. It's about taking full responsibility for your actions, recognizing where you can improve, and being relentless in your pursuit of becoming better. This isn't about self-criticism or tearing yourself down. It's about clear, objective self-assessment. When you practice brutal honesty, you strip away the illusions you create to protect your ego. You stop avoiding hard truths and instead embrace them as part of your journey toward personal mastery. Stoicism teaches that the only person you truly have control over is yourself, so why waste energy pretending otherwise? The more honest you are with yourself, the more empowered you become to make meaningful changes. Lesson 5. Follow your own advice. Trust the wisdom you share. How often do you find yourself giving great advice to others, only to ignore that same wisdom when it comes to your own life? I used to do this all the time. I'd tell my friends to pursue their passions, take risks, and believe in themselves. But when it came to my own fears and doubts, I would play it safe. This disconnect between what I knew was right and how I acted held me back for years. The Stoic lesson here is simple. Trust the wisdom you give to others. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." In other words, don't just talk about what's right, live it. This is one of the most practical and actionable pieces of advice I've adopted from Stoicism. When I started treating myself with the same care and consideration I offered to others, my confidence and sense of purpose grew exponentially. The next time you find yourself offering advice to someone else, take a moment to reflect on how that advice applies to your own life. If you're telling a friend to take a leap of faith in their career, ask yourself why you haven't done the same. If you're encouraging someone to prioritize their health, take a hard look at your own habits. There's a reason you're offering that advice. It's because you know deep down that it's the right thing to do. Now it's time to apply it to your own life. When you follow your own advice, you begin to align your actions with your beliefs. This creates a sense of integrity and authenticity that is crucial for success. You stop feeling like an imposter in your own life because you're no longer telling others to do things that you won't do yourself. Instead, you lead by example, and that inner alignment makes you unstoppable. Lesson 6. Embrace the hard road. Build strength through struggle. One of the most powerful Stoic teachings is that the hard road is often the best road. We live in a society that glorifies comfort and convenience, but Stoicism reminds us that growth and strength are forged through struggle. I used to avoid challenges as much as possible, choosing the easiest path whenever I could. But that path, while comfortable, never led me to anything truly fulfilling. It wasn't until I started embracing the hard road that I began to see real growth. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This idea transformed the way I approached obstacles. Instead of seeing difficulties as barriers, I began to see them as opportunities to build resilience. When you choose the hard road, whether it's committing to a difficult workout, taking on a challenging project at work, or facing personal fears head-on, you become stronger with each step you take. Choosing the hard road doesn't mean seeking out unnecessary pain or hardship. It means recognizing that the things worth achieving in life often require effort, discipline, and perseverance. I found that the more I push myself to face challenges, the more confident and capable I become. The discomfort is temporary, but the growth lasts a lifetime. Stoicism teaches us that we should not shy away from what is difficult, because it is precisely through overcoming difficulties that we become the best versions of ourselves. When I stopped fearing the hard road and started embracing it, I discovered that the challenges I once avoided were the very things that helped me grow the most. Every time I pushed through discomfort, I proved to myself that I am capable of more than I ever thought possible. So the next time you're faced with a choice between the easy path and the hard one, remember this: true strength is built through struggle. Don't fear the hard road, embrace it, and watch yourself become unstoppable. Lesson 7. Control self-doubt. Master your inner voice. One of the biggest obstacles to success is the voice of self-doubt that creeps into our minds. We've all been there. Moments when we second-guess our abilities, question our worth, and hesitate to take action because we're unsure if we're good enough. For a long time, I let self-doubt dictate my actions. I held back from pursuing opportunities because I didn't trust myself to succeed. But Stoicism taught me that self-doubt is something we can control, not something that controls us. Epictetus taught that we are not disturbed by things, but by the view we take of them. In other words, it's not external circumstances that create our self-doubt, but our own thoughts and perceptions. This was a game changer for me. Once I realized that my self-doubt was just a product of my own mind, I understood that I had the power to change it. The key to controlling self-doubt is to challenge it whenever it arises. When I feel that inner voice telling me I can't do something, I stop and ask myself, is that really true? More often than not, the answer is no. My fears and insecurities are rooted in imagined scenarios, not reality. By questioning those thoughts, I can weaken their grip on me and move forward with confidence. Another strategy I've found helpful is to focus on past successes. When I'm doubting myself, I remind myself of all the times I've overcome challenges in the past. This simple shift in focus from what could go wrong to what has gone right reinforces my belief in my own abilities. It's a practice grounded in the Stoic principle of focusing on what we can control, our thoughts and actions, and letting go of the rest. Self-doubt will always try to creep in, but you don't have to let it control you. By mastering your inner voice, questioning negative thoughts, and focusing on your strengths, you can push through self-doubt and unlock your true potential. Lesson 8. Express yourself fully. Build confidence through authenticity. One of the most liberating Stoic lessons I've embraced is the importance of expressing myself fully. For years, I held back. I was afraid to speak my mind, worried about what others would think or how they might react. I thought that staying quiet, blending in, and avoiding conflict was the safer route. But all it did was leave me feeling stifled and disconnected from my true self. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, often wrote about the importance of living in accordance with one's nature. This means being true to who you are, not hiding behind fear or trying to please others. When I started embracing this lesson, I realized how much power comes from being authentic. The more I expressed my true thoughts, ideas, and feelings, the more confident I became in who I am. Expressing yourself fully isn't about being reckless or impulsive. It's about having the courage to speak your truth and share your unique perspective with the world. I've found that when I'm open and honest in my communication, my relationships deepen and my sense of self-worth strengthens. Stoicism teaches us not to seek validation from others, but to live according to our own principles. When you express yourself authentically, you are embodying this philosophy in action. To build this habit, start small. Speak up in situations where you might normally stay silent. Share your thoughts, even if they feel uncomfortable or vulnerable. Each time you do, you'll gain a little more confidence, and that confidence will carry over into other areas of your life. Remember, being yourself is the most powerful way to live. Don't hide behind fear or doubt. Express yourself fully, and you'll become unstoppable in your pursuit of success. Lesson 9. Talk to strangers. Build courage through small risks. Talking to strangers may not seem like a big deal, but for many people, it's a source of anxiety and discomfort. I used to avoid it myself. Small talk with strangers felt awkward, and I didn't want to put myself in a position where I might say something embarrassing or face rejection. But Stoicism teaches us that we grow by embracing discomfort, and that includes stepping outside of our social comfort zones. One of the core Stoic ideas is that we should not fear things that are beyond our control. When you talk to a stranger, you can't control how they will react, what they will think, or where the conversation will go. But what you can control is your willingness to take that small risk. By choosing to engage with others, even when it feels awkward or uncomfortable, you build the courage to handle larger risks in life. Talking to strangers isn't just about building social confidence, it's about training your mind to face uncertainty. Each time you approach someone new, you are reinforcing the idea that you can handle unpredictability. Over time, I found that my fear of awkward moments faded, and I began to enjoy the spontaneous connections that came from stepping outside my comfort zone. This practice has had a ripple effect in other areas of my life. When you learn to approach strangers without fear, you build a mindset that is more open to opportunities, risks, and new experiences. You become less afraid of rejection or failure because you've already proven to yourself that you can handle it. Start by striking up a conversation with someone at the grocery store, in line for coffee, or during your commute. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become, not just in social situations, but in life as a whole. Talking to strangers may seem like a small step, but it's a powerful tool for building resilience, courage, and unstoppable confidence. Lesson 10. Embrace the hard road. Strength through adversity. One of the hardest but most valuable Stoic lessons I've learned is the importance of embracing the hard road. It's natural to want to avoid discomfort and seek the path of least resistance. I used to do it all the time, choosing the easier, more comfortable option over the challenging one. But Stoicism teaches that true strength, growth, and success come from facing adversity head-on, not avoiding it. Epictetus said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." This idea resonates deeply because it acknowledges that life's challenges are not there to break us, but to build us. When we encounter obstacles, whether in our careers, relationships, or personal growth, we have a choice. We can shy away and take the easy route, or we can embrace the difficulty and push through. The Stoics believed that by consistently choosing the harder road, we develop resilience, discipline, and inner strength, qualities that make us unstoppable in the long run. For me, this shift in mindset was a game changer. I started to approach challenges differently. Instead of seeing them as problems or setbacks, I viewed them as opportunities to grow. If a project at work was more demanding than expected, I didn't shy away. I leaned into the discomfort and learned from the experience. When I faced personal challenges, I reminded myself that it was through these hardships that I would emerge stronger and more capable. Embracing the hard road doesn't mean seeking out suffering for the sake of it. It means recognizing that when faced with two paths, one easy, one difficult, the difficult path is often the one that will lead to the most growth. The easy road might offer temporary comfort, but the hard road builds long-lasting resilience and prepares you for even bigger challenges ahead. In practice, embracing the hard road can look like taking on a tough project at work, committing to a challenging fitness goal, or even having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Each time you choose the hard road, you're reinforcing your ability to handle adversity, and over time, you become someone who not only survives challenges, but thrives because of them. Lesson 11. Practice brutal honesty, clarity through self-reflection. The final Stoic lesson that has had a profound impact on my life is the practice of brutal honesty with oneself. This is one of the toughest yet most rewarding principles to live by because it requires confronting uncomfortable truths about yourself. I used to avoid being fully honest with myself, whether it was about my strengths, my weaknesses, or my failures. But Stoicism demands that we face ourselves without illusions, because only through clarity can we truly grow. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to strip away the illusions and see things as they truly are. When it comes to self-reflection, this means being willing to look at yourself in the mirror and ask, am I really living up to my potential? Am I making excuses? Where am I falling short? It's not easy to admit when we're not living as we should, but without this level of honesty, we remain stuck in our old patterns. For me, practicing brutal honesty meant confronting some hard truths about my habits, my mindset, and my goals. I realized that I had been avoiding certain challenges because I was afraid of failing. I wasn't taking full responsibility for the areas of my life where I was underperforming, and I was making excuses for why things weren't working out. Once I accepted these truths, I was able to make real, meaningful changes. The power of brutal honesty is that it frees you from the chains of self-deception. When you are willing to face your shortcomings head-on, you give yourself the opportunity to improve. You stop blaming external circumstances or other people for your failures and take ownership of your life. This level of self-awareness is what makes you unstoppable, because you're no longer held back by denial or fear. To incorporate this into your life, set aside time for regular self-reflection. Ask yourself tough questions. Am I really giving my best effort? Where can I improve? What excuses am I making? Be honest, even if it's uncomfortable. It's through this practice that you'll gain clarity, align your actions with your values, and ultimately become the best version of yourself.